We're about a mile away from his main sanctuary, and this is the Llbc church that we talked to you about that he started years ago. In fact, when I first met Al, he had just started this church, and this church took a tremendous amount of devastation. I'm going to ask Rob at this time to pan over to the buildings over here to my left, and you can see this used to be their preschool, and there are 3 buildings here, and you can see the devastation that took place there. And of course, you know Alec. This is Pastor Somsak and Pastor Kampal. I'll get it straight here in a minute. And these men came over many years ago. They met Brother Al. He led them to Christ, and they have their own church now because of the efforts of the Lighthouse Baptist Church, and they've done a tremendous work here. Several people attend this church, and not only that, but out of this church there have been other churches started in Thailand and all across that area. I think Brother Al told me 4,000 people now and 30 churches. And so this is certainly a worthy work, and I want you to know, brothers and sisters back home, that this is not just helping the folks here in Nashville, it's helping people around the world. And so Rob's going to follow us. I'm going to show you some of the devastation. Okay, as you can see, Rob is showing you the auditorium here. Where I'm pointing my finger is where the water was in this auditorium. If you can imagine this, it's well, I'm 6'2", so you can see how high the water got in this building. And you can see that the good news is that many people have already come in and helped to clear everything out. The next stage is to treat for mold, and then we'll be ready to start some construction. As you can see, we need to replace sheetrock and some wainscot and paneling and carpet here in the auditorium, and some paneling up here on the stage. Of course, carpet needs to be replaced through here and paneling. Restrooms, all this, now this is upstairs, and so if you can imagine, all this was destroyed too because the water came down the hill into this upstairs area. And you can see the work that needs to be done in the bathroom. This is the men's restroom. And then downstairs the Sunday school as well. This is their fellowship hall. Of course, the water came right through this area, right down this hill. The basement of the church. And just like in our Sunday school, several rooms, and they were all destroyed. And one of the worst things is their heating and air conditioning units. One of the units was just purchased a year ago. Now we think it may be ruined. I just wanted to say one final word to everybody back at Open Door. I realize that we're not in the best shape ourselves. And I realize that many of you are going through hard times now with the economy. But I tell you, when I called Brother Al the other night after seeing the devastation, he and I began to talk, and after speaking with him, the Lord wouldn't let me sleep. I was up all night that night. And God revealed to me after we had talked that this is about more than just helping somebody build a church. I really sense, as your pastor, that we need this relationship. And I am praying that you'll catch the vision of how this is going to make us. Al and I were talking about this a moment ago. The life from his church and our church and these Laotians, I really believe is going to put new life into our church. And so I want you just to think about that as you consider if you can help or not. So I'd like for Brother Al also to share his heart this time.
I've gotten probably 11 or 12 different emails that they say, Brother Al, because of what God's doing there in Lighthouse and among the nations, the enemy is really attacking. And I really don't believe that. I believe that God rode this storm into Nashville.
I know He did.
And I wouldn't have asked for it. None of us would have orchestrated it this way. Yet I know that that's what God did. And the question that we've got to ask ourselves is, God has acted. Now, are we going to act with Him? And in my walks with God, when God moves, we move with Him. It's not about just giving, it's also about giving and receiving. And I'm so thankful that Russ is here, and Rob, and Alec is here, representing your fellowship. And I know that this is not only about us being, and you being a blessing to the Llbc people here, but it's about the process. It's not just about the end of the building restored, but it's about the process of us getting out of our comfortable zone, us taking up a cross, a new cross of love, and of sacrifice for the kingdom and for the glory of God. And I want to challenge you. I want to challenge you that sometimes the best thing we can do when we're going through struggles and trials, Brother Russ has shared some of the struggles and trials the church has been through over the last years, and I'm burdened for you and I've been praying for you, but sometimes the best thing to do, instead of taking care of ourselves, is to get up and out and wash some feet and care for others. And I can tell you there are no more precious people in the world than these Llbc people here. And the suffering they've been through the years. And for you to step into their lives and help them now in this juncture would be pleasing to God and certainly meet a very compelling need in the life of this church here, this community.